Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're really getting into a foundational story. We're using excerpts from the life and faith of Prophet Ibrahim. And our aim really is to unpack what these accounts tell us about his life, his faith, which was extraordinary, and the legacy he left.
And the text dives right in, doesn't it? It starts with that powerful verse from Surah An-Nahl.
Ah, yes, verse 120.
Exactly. Indeed, Abraham was a nation unto himself, devoutly obedient to Allah, inclining toward truth, and he was not of those who associate others with Allah.
A nation unto himself. That phrase just, wow, it really hits you.
It does. It speaks volumes about his singular focus and devotion right from the outset.
So let's follow that journey as the source lays it out. It starts way back when he was just a boy.
Right. We're placed in the city of Ur, and the context is key. It's saturated with idol worship.
Even in his own home, the text mentions
Yes.
his father actually carved them.
Yeah, his own father. But young Ibrahim, the narrative stresses, had a different kind of heart, a different way of seeing things.
It describes that scene, doesn't it? Him watching people bring food to the idols.
And he's there, just a kid, whispering these questions. Things like, why don't you eat this? Or, why aren't you speaking? He even tries poking them, apparently.
And of course, nothing.
Total silence, just inert statues. And it's that very silence, that lack of response, that triggers something in him.
The internal click moment.
Exactly, the realization, this can't possibly be God. What's really interesting, and the source highlights this, is that this initial questioning, it comes from observation, from reason, not a divine message at that point.
Just looking at the world around him and thinking critically.
Precisely.
Asking why.
Okay, so he's rejected the man-made idols. Where does his search lead him next? The text says he looked upwards.
Yeah, he turns his attention to the heavens, looking for something truly divine. He sees a star shining bright.
And thinks, maybe this.
For a moment, yeah.
Could this be my Lord? But then, it sets. It disappears.
And his reaction?
Immediate rejection. I don't love things that disappear. That transience, it wasn't what he was searching for.
So not the stars. What about the moon?
Same thing. He sees the moon, bigger, brighter, seems more promising perhaps.
But it also sets.
It also sets. Then comes the sun. Really powerful, majestic, the mightiest thing he's observed.
Surely this must be it.
You'd think. But nope. Evening comes and the sun vanishes too.
So this cycle of rising and setting, even for the grandest objects.
It solidifies his understanding. After observing all this, he makes this declaration to his people. It's a real turning point in the narrative.
What does he say?
He says, "Indeed, I have turned my face toward the one who created the heavens and the earth. I will not be among the idol worshippers."
Wow. So that's his move towards pure monotheism, towards Tawheed.
Absolutely. Based on observation, reason, and rejecting anything temporary or created as being the ultimate creator.
And this conviction, this new understanding, it inevitably leads to conflict, right? And the text describes a major confrontation.
It really does. He felt he had to challenge the status quo, the idol worship that was everywhere. So the narrative says he hatched a plan.
Time for when everyone was out of town.
Yeah, during a festival. He goes into the temple all alone.
And then?
He takes an axe and smashes all the idols, breaks them to pieces.
All of them?
Well, almost. He deliberately leaves the biggest one untouched. And then, crucially, he hangs the axe around the neck of that big idol.
Ah, setting the stage.
Completely. So people come back, see the destruction, chaos, they're furious. Who did this to our gods?
And Ibrahim's response, I imagine it wasn't straightforward.
Not at all.
Yeah.
According to the account, he just calmly says, well, ask the biggest one. He's got the axe.
That must have stopped them in their tracks.
You'd think so. The text says they were silenced. They knew deep down the idol couldn't do anything, couldn't speak, couldn't possibly have done it. But the narrative suggests their pride, their arrogance, maybe just the fear of admitting they were wrong. It blinded them. They wouldn't accept the clear evidence of their idol's powerlessness.
So instead of questioning their beliefs, they turn on him.
Exactly. The consequence for challenging everything they stood for. They decide to throw him into a fire.
Not just any fire, though.
No. The account describes them making a huge spectacle of it, gathering enormous amounts of wood, building this massive blaze, tying him up.
And using a catapult, even.
Yes, launching him right into the heart of the inferno. It's meant to be his end.
But then comes that moment, the divine intervention.
This is absolutely central. The text quotes Allah's command directly. O fire, be cool and safe for Ibrahim.
And the fire. obeys.
Instantly. Its very nature changes for him. It becomes cool, harmless, a profound miracle right before their eyes.
You'd think that would change everything for the people who witnessed it.
You would hope. But the narrative implies that while maybe some were affected, the core opposition remained. Because after this, he eventually leaves. He has to move on from his people, his homeland.
Right. So begins this next phase, the long journey.
Traveling, spreading the message of Tawheed, the oneness of God. The account mentions his marriage to Sarah.
And then, after many years, the blessing of a son, Ismail, through Hajar.
A deeply longed-for child. A huge joy. But almost immediately after this joy comes, well, another immense test.
The command regarding Hajar and Ismail.
Yes. The instruction, as per the text, is to take Hajar and the baby, Ismail, and leave them. Just leave them.
Where?
In the desert valley of Makkah, described as utterly barren. No water, no vegetation, no people, just searing heat and desolation.
That's hard to even imagine. How does someone process that command, let alone obey it, especially concerning your wife and infant child?
The text emphasizes Ibrahim's complete trust, his reliance on Allah's wisdom even when he doesn't understand why. He takes them there, leaves them with a small water skin, a few dates, and starts to walk away.
Hajar must have been bewildered, terrified.
Understandably, she runs after him, pleading, "Ibrahim, to whom are you leaving us here, in this empty valley?"
Does he answer?
Initially, silence. He just keeps walking. But then she asks the crucial question, the one that changes everything for her. Did Allah command you to do this?
And he confirms.
He nods yes. And her response, as the narrative presents it, is just extraordinary. Her fear seems to dissolve, replaced by this deep calm.
What does she say?
Then he will not abandon us. Just like that. Instant acceptance rooted in the same profound trust Ibrahim had.
That shared faith in such an extreme situation is breathtaking.
It really is. It shows the depth of their shared submission.
Okay, so this sets the stage for Makkah's future, but it's an incredible act of faith, which brings us to what the text calls the ultimate test later on.
Indeed. Years pass. Ismail isn't a baby anymore. He's grown into a young boy, old enough to walk and talk with his father.
And Ibrahim starts having a dream.
A recurring dream, yes. Night after night, he sees himself sacrificing his son, this beloved son he waited so long for.
And he understands this isn't just, a bad dream.
He understands it as a command, a divine instruction from Allah.
The weight of that.
Yeah.
How does he even approach his son with this?
The narrative gives us that conversation, and it's remarkable. He tells Ismail plainly, "Oh, my son, I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you. So what do you think?" He asks his son's view.
And Ismail's response.
Equally remarkable, full of faith, no hesitation. He says, "Oh, my father, do as you are commanded. You will find me, if Allah wills, of the steadfast, of the patient, the firm."
Wow. Father and son, both willing to submit to something so heart-wrenching.
The text describes them walking together towards the place of sacrifice, hearts full of faith, accepting the decree. Ibrahim prepares Ismail, lays him down. The knife is ready.
The absolute peak of the test.
Right at that moment, just as he's about to carry out the command,
Right.
a voice calls out.
Stopping him.
Yes. "Oh, Ibrahim, you have fulfilled the vision." The text makes it clear. The test was in the willingness, the absolute submission of heart. He had shown that.
He passed the test.
He passed. And Allah, in his mercy, provides a ram, a sacrifice from paradise, to be offered instead of Ismail. It wasn't about taking the son's life. It was about testing the father's devotion to the extreme.
So looking back across his life, as presented here, the fire, leaving his family, this near sacrifice, it's just one monumental test after another.
Absolutely. All demonstrating this unwavering trust and obedience. And the story doesn't end there. It moves towards his legacy.
The rebuilding of the Kaaba.
Exactly. Later in life, he and Ismail work together to raise the foundations of the Kaaba, the house of Allah in Makkah.
And they pray while doing it.
Yes, the text includes their prayer, their supplication. "Our Lord, accept this from us. Indeed, you are the hearing, the knowing." It's beautiful showing their humility even in such a significant act.
And that act, that building, that whole story, it resonates right down to today, doesn't it?
Very strongly. The source emphasizes how his legacy is alive. He's remembered in daily prayers by millions.
The Salawat.
In the Hajj pilgrimage, the circling of the Kaaba, Tawaf, the standing at Arafah, so many rituals directly echo his life, his trials, his faith. His story is literally walked by pilgrims every year.
So when we pull all these threads together from the source material, what's the big picture? What's the core message for us listening now?
Well, the text really positions Ibrahim as more than just a historical figure or even just a prophet. He's presented as the ultimate model of submission, of Islam, in its literal meaning.
And his story isn't just history, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Like a mirror.
Exactly like a mirror, held up for the listener, for you, to reflect on your own state of faith and trust.
Prompting some hard questions, maybe.
Definitely. Questions like, how deep does your trust in God go, especially when things get tough, when life throws you curveballs? What are you truly willing to give up, to sacrifice for what you believe in, for what you feel commanded to do?
It makes you connect his epic struggles to our own, maybe smaller, but still significant, tests and challenges.
Right, and it loops back beautifully to that opening verse we discussed.
Indeed, Ibrahim was a nation.
Devoutly obedient to Allah, inclining toward truth. The essence of his legacy, as presented here, is that sincerity, that unwavering trust, that pure love for the divine. And the invitation is to try and embody some spark of that.
We've traced quite the journey in this deep dive, haven't we? From the young boy questioning idols,
to searching the skies, facing the fire, trusting completely in the desert.
passing that ultimate test of willingness, and finally building the Kaaba, an incredible life of faith.
A life defined by submitting to the divine plan, even when it seemed impossible or heartbreaking. That constant theme of trust.
And so, as the source encourages reflection, it asks you listening, how does that level of trust, Ibrahim's trust, sit with you? Does it resonate with your own times of trial or uncertainty?
What particular part of his story, maybe the courage to question or the obedience or the trust when feeling alone, what part might hold a lesson for you right now as you think about commitment or sacrifice in your own life?
His example really pushes us to think about what sincerity and trust look like in practice.
It does.
So perhaps a final thought to take away from this. If walking in his path means striving for sincerity, trust, and that deep love for the divine, what's one small, maybe tiny step you could think about taking today, just to cultivate one of those qualities a little bit more?
Something to consider. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.